Now we're heading towards the middle of October and the cucumbers are coming to the end of their lives. The next things to consider with our open pollinated varieties is whether or not we can save seeds from them. If you've been joining in for the whole grow along, then you may have already had a cucumber that you've set aside that is ready to be harvested to do the seeds from. If you haven't, then it is really important to, one, that they need to have completely ripened on the plant and started to go yellow or be completely yellow. Two, they need to be an open pollinated variety, so not an all female or F1 variety. If you haven't done that, then it is likely too late for this year, but you can obviously save the information for next year. With our open pollinated varieties, it is really important to make sure that we have either hand pollinated some of these flowers, so taken the pollen from the male flower to the female and kept them isolated, or to only be growing one variety and therefore they can't cross pollinate. They will, of course, cross between gherkins as well, so it is really important to make sure that you've isolated them if you are growing gherkins as well. So using my knife, I'm just going to very carefully take this one off of the parent plant. So you can see this is pretty much yellow now, although it does have some areas of green and a little bit where it's a bit scabby. A lot of cucumbers will go a really deep yellow, so hopefully yours is looking somewhat like this or deeper. And then all we're going to do is take a knife and cut down the middle of the cucumber. It's very juicy. And there's the seeds that we're after on the inside. So all I've got myself is a bowl and a spoon, and we're going to scoop these seeds into the bowl. The cucumber itself now will be good to put out for some chickens if you have any, or just cut up and popped into the compost. It's likely to be very bitter and not very pleasant. You definitely wouldn't want to eat it. So next thing to do is pop some water in our dish. So there it is now, all filled up with water, and what this is going to do now is start to ferment, and that will help us release the seeds from this jelly, which is what the plant grows in order to inhibit growth while it is inside the cucumber. So I'm just going to take these inside the house now at room temperature, and we'll come back in around sort of 3 days to see how they're looking. So as you can see, I've got a layer of mould that shouldn't be quite so bad because I've left it that little bit longer. So all I'm going to do is just scrape this back and discard that. It shouldn't actually make any difference to the seeds themselves, so it's not overly a problem, but we definitely wouldn't want to leave them any longer. And obviously it isn't ideal to get it quite this bad. So 3 to 5 days is the usual plan. And then the next thing I'm going to do is just drain out the seeds that we've got and give them a bit of a scrape around. So all this jelly that we can see is the pulp from the inside of the cucumbers. And the whole reason that we're doing this is because that's there to stop the seeds actually germinating. So we're trying to actually get rid of that now. I'm just going to discard this water before we put fresh in. So I've just got some rainwater here, but any water will be absolutely fine. And we're just going to pop the seeds in to start cleaning them. Still got a few in here as well. So just give them a bit of an agitation, a bit of a stir around, just to loosen up any gel that is still remaining on those seeds. You can see that some of the seeds are almost looking opaque, and they're the ones that are going to be floating. So those are the ones that aren't going to be viable, and the ones that fall to the bottom are the ones that are viable. You can see that there is a cluster at the bottom that just stay at the bottom. So we're going to drain this out, and this time I'm just going to pour away as much of the water as I can without the seeds at the bottom coming out of the bowl. Just going to give this sieve a bit of a wash as well. And then with most of the gunk now off of the sieve, we just want to pour those seeds back in. So you can see that we now have the majority of those lighter seeds that have gone. There is a couple still remaining, so we'll give it another bit of a wash now. Just going to give them another rinse first. So you can see these opaque ones here are the ones that I'm talking about that aren't viable. And then the seeds that are heavy and that sink, those are the ones that are viable and that we're looking to save. So once again, I'm going to pour out the water and just remove any of these floating seeds that aren't viable and any of the bits. And do that one more time. There's still a few in there. Still a couple I can see here that I'm just going to remove by hand. But they're pretty much all of them now have floated out. Just make sure that they all look good. So I'm doing it outside, I've got a bit of mud, so I'm just going to do a final rinse down. And then I've got a clean pot, and these are just going to sit in here now to dry. You can use a piece of kitchen towel or something like that. What I find is they tend to stick to kitchen towels, certain seeds, so by doing it in here, we usually won't have any seeds sticking once they've dried. So now that we have our seeds that are ready to start drying, what we're going to be doing is taking these into a warm environment inside the house and then leaving them with nothing on top to make sure that they're left uncovered, and allowing them to dry for the next 7 days. When they are ready at that point to go into a glass jar or an envelope and labelled, and they'll be completely ready for next year's sowings. If you're concerned that your seeds aren't viable, then one of the options is to have a go at a germination test, where you're going to lay sort of 5 to 10 of these seeds into a damp piece of kitchen paper, pop it into a plastic bag or a little tub, and then leave it somewhere warm and check on it every couple of days to see whether or not they germinate. And then from there we can work out whether or not we've got 100% germination or 50% or so on.